Hey, yo, what's up guys? Welcome to this tutorial where I'll be showing you how you can register a smart contract to the Mode SFS using Hardhat. In this tutorial, we're going to create a basic Hardhat project. We're going to configure this project to deploy it to Mode Network. We're also going to grab some test tokens, which is the Sepolia test tokens, get that to be able to deploy a project to the Mode Network. We're also going to now go ahead to deploy this contract to Mode and then check if this project that we deploy, this contract, is it registered on the Mode SFS. But first, what exactly is the Mode SFS? SFS stands for sequencer fee sharing, and it is a way for developers who deploy to the Mode network to earn a share of the transaction fee that it costs to interact with the smart contract. So if you deploy a smart contract to the Mode network and you register it in the SFS, for every transaction that is involved when people interact with your project, with your smart contract, you get some form of revenue from that. And that is awesome. In case you want to read more about this, I'm going to leave a link to what that explains in details. This is the perfect time to tell you that in case you want to follow a written version of this tutorial, you can check the documentation, docs.mode.network, to go learn this exact same thing from the documentation. The very first thing we want to do is create a basic Hardhat project. I would not be creating and initializing this project live on video because it could take some time to install the dependencies. I have gone ahead to do this behind the screen to initialize the project, but you can follow this part of the tutorial to show you that initialize another project. Here is the other project I have initialized. It is a very basic, the scaffolded project. It comes with a locked or sold contract. It comes with script. It comes with test. This is exactly what you will get once you initialize an Hardhat project. Let's see how we can rewrite this and add all the things we need to so that we can deploy this to the Mode network, but more importantly, register this in the SFS. Quickly, before we get to that part, let me just tell you a bit about how the register function works in the SFS. To register a smart contract on the SFS, you need to call the register function that is present on the SFS contract. This function takes in the recipient argument, which is the address that should receive an NFT that will be issued, so you can use that NFT to claim the revenue later on when your smart contract is generating some good revenue. You call this register function from your smart contract to register that contract on the SFS. Let me show you what that means and how it's done. The very first step is to add an interface to the smart contract you are trying to call. Next is to add this piece of code to your constructor function or in a function somewhere where you call. The very first line points to the SFS contract and creates an instance of it so you can use that in your code. The next line registers your contract on the SFS. Once you have these two parts added to your code, voila, you have completed 50% of what it takes to register your smart contract. Next, let's look at how we can configure our Hardhat project so we can start looking at deploying this project to the Mode network. This is what a basic config object in the Hardhat config file contains. You can find the Solidity version that you are using with your project, but we're going to change a couple of these around. The very first thing is to change that from a string to an object so that we can add the version and also more importantly configure what the EVM version should be, which should be set to London. Next is to add a network key where we can set the configuration for Mode network. This should look like this. You can grab these details from the Mode documentation or you just copy it on your screen. More importantly, you need to add this gas price because from experience, if you do not include this, your deployment would fail. Once you've completed this step, the next step is to get some test tokens so that we can use that to pay for what it costs to deploy our smart contract to the Mode network. There are different ways to get test tokens. You can come to the testnet faucet section of the Mode docs and go to any of these faucets to grab some, or you could go to the network bridge some of your tokens from the Ethereum network down to the Mode network, or the way I prefer to do it is come to the Mode faucet at faucet.modedomains.xyz. I would include this in the description of the video and you can connect your wallet and grab some test tokens. Voila! But I already have some test tokens in my wallet, so I wouldn't be going through this step. I will go to the next step, but you need to complete this stage to move to the next one, so do it. Next, you need to copy your private key so you can use that in your deployment configuration. To do that, you come to your MetaMask wallet, go to the account details and show private key, copy that and paste it in your Hardhat configuration. Ideally, you should not expose your private keys to the public, so I went ahead to create a file, private key.ts, where I have included my deployer private key and I imported that to this so I can keep my private key safe. If you expose this, there's a possibility that your account will be compromised. You should also probably handle this with a .env file. I skipped that because I wanted to reduce the dependency and what it needs to complete this task. But the best way to do is to write a configuration file and never push your private keys to GitHub or whatever version control system you're using. Once you've gotten your test tokens and you've configured your project, we can go ahead and try to deploy this to the Mode network. To do that, we do pnpm hardhat run scripts /deploy JS, and we add network mode. The last part comes from this. If we rename this to mode testnet or whatever, we need to change this to that. So just know that whatever you called it in the network's config, you need to do that here. And if everything works out well, our project should successfully compile and, more importantly, deploy to the Mode network. We have successfully deployed our project to the Mode network. How do we confirm this? We can copy this address and go ahead to the Mode Explorer. An easy way to find the Mode Block Explorer is to come out to the website, go to Network, and go to Explorer, and you should be taken to the Block Explorer page. I'm going to paste that here, and we should find that just one more time. We can see that this was completed a minute ago. This is the transaction that we deployed. Next step is to check if this contract is actually registered on the Mode SFS. Let's do that. The way I like to check if my smart contract is registered on the SFS is by going to the testnet contract addresses, going to the SFS contract, going to contract, going to read contract, and going to is registered. And now I need to paste my contract address here and query it. If it comes out as true, that means my smart contract is registered successfully. If it comes out as false, that means we need to go fix some bugs. So I'm going to copy this once again and paste it right here. Moment of truth. Bull. We can see that this is true. That means our smart contract has been successfully registered on the SFS. Thanks so much for watching the video. A quick overview of what we've done is we created a basic Hardhat project. We configured it to be deployed on the Mode network. We also saw how we can register our smart contract in the SFS and deploy to the Mode network. We also looked at ways to get test tokens so that we can deploy to the Mode network. Thanks so much for catching this video. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section, or importantly, you can join the Mode Discord community where you have access to devs 24/7 to help you fix whatever bugs you're having or find solutions and ways around what you're facing. My name is Cora. See you in the next video.